As usual, it's your fault. And who is your? Well, it's probably going to be me.
You know what the players love? Censorship and being told that their opinions are less valuable than that of a moral high-roading journalist.
Oh, want to hear a good example of that? How about the Game Awards? How 90% of the Game Awards are being decided by a panel rather than actual gamers. Whoa!
Saying that the discourse around Dragon Age the Veilguard is proof positive that their opinions are more truthful and valid than ours.
Of course. Naturally.
You would think over the last few years, with the direction that games journalism has been heading in, that they would see an industry that is losing its relevance, that's shrinking.
And I also, I want to say that I am on a bit of a crusade against dishonest journalism. I think dishonest journalism is one of the most corrosive things that we're dealing with as a society. And I think that people ignore it too often because oftentimes it could be something that is parallel with what their views are. I think that journalism is it's a need. We need journalism. And that's why it's so problematic that people are misusing its place.
That is consolidating and has mass layoffs and outlet closures, and people are just not engaging with your platform the same way that they used to anymore because you're not delivering what they're looking for. But instead of seeing any adaptation, any change, or anything like that, we're seeing them point the finger at you and say, you are the problem. The audience is the issue. And even more so, it's YouTubers. Those damn commentary guys, man. Why can't they keep their mouths shut? All they're doing is just poisoning the industry, poisoning the well around these games. And more importantly, they need to be controlled by these platforms because, censorship is great as long as it aligns with my own personal morals.
Yeah, censorship is when it happens to me. Fairness is when I do it to somebody else.
The plan failed. The ploy failed. This sanitized approach to game development, reviewing, and video game discourse isn't landing well with audiences. It's not what they're looking for. It's not authentic. And you would think that this is an opportunity to say, oh, everybody's telling me that I'm wrong.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But instead, they're saying it's you. The expected outcome of
I don't have a problem. There have been a lot of instances where I've been at odds with my community for different things, where I think something and then everybody in the community thinks something different. I think it's fine if you want to have an opinion that is not a mainstream opinion. But the problem is that I think that the opinions that are being held are things that people think based off of a secondary reason. It's like an ideological thing. Like New Zealand Hawkeye? Yeah, a lot of people disagreed with me on that. I wasn't a fan, other people were. That's it, right? There's always going to be people that disagree with you about things. And I don't think that you should ever change your opinion on something because a lot of people disagree with you. However, some people definitely take it way too fucking far.
Dragon Age the Veilguard is starting to take shape, and it's not looking good. Player ratings continue to drop. The game is now sitting at a 72 on Steam with only a 40% player rating on OpenCritic and an abysmal 3.9 on Metacritic. Gamealytics is now estimating that the Veilguard sold between 310 to 930,000 copies, averaging at a...
Now, I have to say that also was my estimation as well. So I was like 700 to 800K.
Around 621,000 copies sold, a clear sign that this game did not land well with audiences. While some people enjoy the game, and I'll admit that the game has some redeeming qualities, that might not be enough to be able to turn a profit or meet EA's expectations.
Yeah.
What this means for BioWare or the future of Mass Effect 5, it's hard to say. However, it is worth remembering that EA shut down Ascendant Studios after Immortals of Avium flopped, a game...
Let's be fair. Immortals of Avium, whatever, was a cataclysmic level failure that I think that's one that you study in school. It's like a legendary level fall off.
With a lot of writing and themes that bear some resemblance to the Veilguard. Immortals only sold 50,000 copies despite its $125 million budget. If EA invested that heavily into Immortals, we can only imagine what they spent.
That's almost as bad as Concord. It's like that game was so bad that nobody even knew how bad it was.
On the Veilguard. This could mean layoffs for BioWare are looming unless EA decides to make Mass Effect the studio's final chance.
Yeah.
Now, while the media attempted to feign that this game was a success, fake it till you make it, I guess, and their positive spin definitely worked initially, now that the game has had some time to simmer and the players don't seem to like it, they have chose to double down and ignore any sense of self-awareness.
As always.
Dwayne Jenkins of Vice wrote an article titled Dragon Age the Veilguard and the Necessity of Games Journalism.
Oh, man. I saw this.
He writes, we're going back into the trenches on this one, so it's no secret. Dragon Age the Veilguard
It's crazy how dishonest these people are. And I think that's why a lot of people have like been against these ideologies. It's because these ideologies are being they're being propped up by incredibly dishonest behavior and language. And people know that they're getting finessed. They know that they're being lied to.
It's the latest DEI game to be subjected to criticism with zero bearing on the actual game itself. Because I'm tired and already...
Well, the dialogue in the game and the way the game plays and the way your character looks and everything like that is the actual game. I mean, it's not even really true.
Exhausted myself talking about diversity in games, I'll keep this one brief. Now, the irony of saying this from a gaming vertical isn't lost on me. Even if I'm the wrong messenger, I can only hope that the message itself is meaningful enough.
Well,
Let's imagine a world without video game outlets. No IGN, no Kotaku, no Polygon. They're all just poof.
Oh, I know. John Lennon wrote a story about, yeah. Yeah, we know about this. What do you mean? Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, what are you talking about? Imagine there's no IGN. Yeah. I didn't say Don Lemon. I said John Lemon. Okay, now I said... Okay, all right, let's move on. I did say Lemon there.
Overnight, gone. No more reviews or insights from game journalists.
Yeah.
You know what that leaves you with to gauge how good a game is? Censoring on Metacritic has gotten completely out of hand. Not a smart move if you want to stay relevant, aka in business, because of this whole NWO Great Reset woke psyop has failed.
For a second, I actually thought that he was playing this in the background. And I was like, this is actually so good. Same? Yeah, I'm like, this is perfect. Oh my God.
Narratives crumbling and everyone not bailing out in time will go down with it. This, in case, if you couldn't tell, is a user review from Metacritic.
Well, so what? So this, and I said this before whenever like I discussed this originally, is that, yeah, you're absolutely right that there's censorship that happens on Metacritic, and there are people that give stupid reviews. But there's also critics that also give stupid reviews.
From Metacritic. I want you to really read that review. Let it nestle in your brain for a second. Now, what did you meaningfully glean from that? What information from that excerpt will help you decide whether Veilguard is worth your time? That the game...
Well, let me turn it around. What meaningful information would you gather from the review of Concord saying it's a 7 out of 10? The idea that gaming journalists have some sort of better understanding of what gamers want is clearly not true. And I actually think, here's the reality. I think that games journalists and gamers are actually extremely aligned. But the problem is that when any sort of social or political content comes into play, there are two diametrically opposed viewpoints. Because gaming journalists promote, and they are like super positive about, you know, like any type of this like identity politics stuff put in games. And players are very against it. I think that if you look at games that don't have any of that, you'll see pretty much an alignment. They used to be whenever they were gamers. Now most are just young journalists. Sure.
Has characters of different ethnicities, and that's bad. This brand of criticism extends to YouTube, where content creators aren't bound to any kind of journalistic integrity. Sure, a few YouTubers provide...
Neither are the journalists.
Thoughtful feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of a game, but Some couldn't care less about worthwhile, relevant, informed discourse. They don't have to.
Who decides what's worthwhile, relevant, or informed? If somebody cares about DEI or social politics being in the game, you don't have the right to tell them that their opinion is invalid. They have every right to have a concern about it or to not like it. There's no reason why they shouldn't be allowed to think that. They do, as an elite, yeah. As ethical journalists, exactly. I don't see how this is even a conversation. The marketplace, though, yeah. Everybody has a right to choose what they want to look at, and you don't have a right to tell people that they can't care about this or they're not allowed to care about this. Why? Who decided that?
Talk about the gameplay, visuals, characters, story, pacing, mechanics, or any of the other nuances one looks for in a traditional review of a game. Instead, they can turn a camera on and say the game sucks because it has pronouns in it, or it features too much diversity, or
well, if they think that, then it's true. It's that simple. That's it. Like it's not complicated. Like if you want to go and sell hamburgers, well, maybe you're going to have a bad time doing it in India because apparently I think over there, like, aren't cows sacred? If you're going to go over and sell Winnie the Pooh t-shirts, you might have a problem doing that in China. If you're going to go and do a game about like a, LGBT romance and you're trying to sell that game in the Middle East, you might have a bad time. That's the way it works. It doesn't, and these people are so caught up in the moral grandstanding of their opinions that they refuse to acknowledge reality. It doesn't matter what you think it should be or not. If people believe it, then it's real. I don't know why this is complicated.
Into franchise by introducing any other sexual orientation that isn't straight or a gender identity that isn't man or woman. This is
the reason why is that a lot of people don't acknowledge that there are any other gender identities besides man or woman. There's a lot of people out there that think that. You can't just write this off and say, "Oh yeah, wow, I wonder why this is happening." It's because this is an opinion held by millions, tens, if not hundreds of millions of people just in the United States. Like 95% of the world, yes.
The conversation, a point to it all, just noise. It's funny, though. Dragon Age the Veilguard is getting lambasted for its inclusive elements because it apparently isn't a 10 out of 10 experience.
So does this apparently mean you didn't play the game? And this is what journalists do a lot of times, is that they use a lot of dishonest rhetoric like this in order to like downplay and to not in good faith engage with a conversation. I think that's a huge issue.
Meanwhile, I don't recall Baldur's Gate 3 getting a whole lot of flack. Oh, wait, never mind. I guess I just had a momentary mental lapse. But
no, you didn't. You don't know what you're like. That's not. It's totally different. It's a totally different type of. Nobody cares about inclusive elements. People care about how inclusive elements are added into a game. Nobody has a problem with gay characters. Nobody has a problem with women or minorities or black people. That's not happening. Like, yeah, sure, there's people out there, like, at least in like Western culture, I feel it's very, very minor that people are like that. Some do? Sure. I mean, always some do. But I don't think it's that's not a big factor.
Traditionally, people will excuse all that gross diversity if the quality is high enough.
Is that bad?
True to form, that bar is only cleared once perfection is agreed upon. No real-world parallels at all. So they believe that only games journalism can provide reliable and nuanced insights into a game's quality.
The problem with the reviews is that the reviews use argumentation, and they think that certain things are important that players don't think are important.
And this is something that's really important. It's a wordplay that a lot of journalists like to use to mislead the reader. But notice that they say a few YouTubers provide valuable feedback. But they use the word few because they want to magnify the issue to be as big as it possibly is, even though they are the ones that are cherry picking some of the most inflammatory discourse that's around Dragon Age the Veilguard. See how that works? They're making something seem like it's a bigger issue than it actually is.
Yeah, it's like what the ADL was saying, like about Steam being a problem. Steam has over 1 billion accounts. 1 in every 1,500 or 2,000 accounts has something that may be interpreted as anti-Semitic or racist or something like that. It's just such a ridiculous thing to say.
World without IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, and PC Gamer or Eurogamer, yeah, I can. It would be players that are actually going off of the opinions of other players, people that are actually playing the game that likely have the same kind of perspective or taste that they do. It's one of the reasons why YouTube and Twitch...
Wait, bro, are you serious? Dragon Age is banned here in Saudi and the only game... No, is it actually banned in Saudi Arabia? No fucking shot. Oh my God. Man. That's crazy. Probably a lot of predominantly Arab countries, maybe? I don't know. It's probably a religious thing more than anything. They ban anything with a gay character. Why are you shocked? It's just crazy to see. It's crazy to see that there it is. Man. I'm telling you, like, I've been talking with some of the guys. I'm actually kind of excited. I really want to go. I want to see what it's like over there. I do. That is so, like, it must be so much different. The whole country has to do push-ups now? Yeah.
Content has blown up over the years is because
they're great. Oh, I want
much easier to be able to find somebody that you can align your tastes with and have similar opinions on things with and see whether or not you're going to enjoy that game or not. That's probably one of the biggest issues in games journalism today is the fact that the perspective and opinions and beliefs that are held by those in media are not shared by those that are the audience.
Exactly.
And
Yes. Absolutely.
As such, it's leading to a conflict. We don't see eye to eye anymore, and because of that, they don't want to pay attention to you for your opinions. They feel that a lot of these folks on YouTube and Twitch are a lot more genuine and less compromised, and in fact, they are less compromised. I mean, the writer themselves says they're going into the trenches. They view this as a battle line, like they're going into war. They view this as a war that they're in. They even go as far as...
It's a war that they started. They started trying to push this stuff, and then they categorized anybody who disagreed with it as some kind of a bigot. Yeah, what a surprise.
Saying, even if I'm not the right messenger, I just hope that the message is meaningful enough. Well, that's the problem. How do you lack the self-awareness to realize that you're magnifying an issue that's not even there to begin with?
Exactly.
And really what it is at the end of the day,
you're not
good at delivering whatever your message is, or, I don't know, maybe the players aren't bigots. Maybe they just might be tired of hearing the same message.
I think also he brings up a very good point, is that a lot of them really aren't very good at delivering their message. They're not good at communicating. And I think that that's the big problem. And it's kind of what I was saying before about like that guy that was like, oh, you're a cracker, or, you know, like the other like weird like leftist things that people say on Twitch and also on Twitter. I hope that they one day realize how unproductive and problematic that is. Because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't make people like them, and it doesn't make people agree with them. And if anything, it pushes people away. And it makes me feel like if your goal is to promote an ideology, and the way that you do it is by constantly alienating people and being hostile, maybe you're not trying to promote an ideology. Maybe you're just a fucking asshole. Maybe, right?
I want you guys to keep in mind that players and YouTubers are the ones that are creating this toxic echo chamber. Games journalism is the most important, insightful, and truthful, as Nathan Grayson of Aftermath writes an article titled The Dragon Age Review Controversy Shows Just How Much YouTube and Twitter Have Poisoned Video Game Discourse. The more you enable these people structurally, systematically, the more footing they gain until they become the default. Quoting.
So what you're saying is that the solution to people having an opinion is silencing them so they can't have an opinion. I see. So that's where we're at. Yeah, the headline is saying gamers are poisoned. Yeah, so why are you worried? See, this is the way that I look at it. Why are you worried about your ideology, becoming like no longer the default if you think that your ideology is accurate? Because logically, in a free marketplace of ideas, the best ideology usually wins out given a long enough time period. So, what are we doing here? It's because they know it's not, yeah.
Putting the discussions from their podcast, Nathan writes, these days, when a big new game comes out, you can pretty much roll the dice on what kind of reactionary controversy it will produce. Are we looking at a moral panic over trans characters, diversity consulting, games journalists being too positive, games journalists being too negative, some other quibble that'll be forgotten in a week, interchangeably swapped out like grains of sand dragged away by the unrelenting tide?
Theater kid language.
Anyway, the usual suspects got mad about Dragon Age the Veilguard reviews this week. You can listen.
The usual suspects, guess who it is? I've actually talked to Nathan Grayson before, and he's always been very cordial and polite. We've had very, polite conversations privately. And there's been no real problem I've had with him, but I completely disagree with what he's saying here. I think that he's totally wrong about it. Basically, the idea that this is some kind of a problem that needs to be solved is effectively you saying that they don't have the right to have an opinion about a certain topic. I don't agree with that. I think that if somebody has an opinion about something and they don't like it, it doesn't matter why that reason is. They're still entitled to that opinion. Stupid opinions people are still entitled to because they're people. It's wrongthink. Yeah, exactly. It only happens in the West. This is especially apparent in Pride Month. Every year in Pride Month, they fly rainbow colors, Western social media account, while the Muslim branch stays the same. They don't post shit about it. That's kind of a separate problem, but I do think that this is basically what's happening. So he isn't entitled to his stupid opinion. Why do you care? Well, the reason why I care is because people like this actively go out of their way to try to get other people deplatformed and taken down. And that's really where the issue is. I think that if this was just a conversation and a war of ideas, then it would be a good thing. But the problem is that these people are losing the war of ideas and they're trying to, run to Big Brother to hopefully protect them from the people in chat or the people in the comment section that disagree with them. That's the reason why I care about it. It's because these people are actively promoting and trying to advocate for censorship and deplatforming. That's the reason why it's bad. Whereas I'm not, aren't you doing that? No. I think that Nathan Grayson can write as many articles as he wants. I completely support his freedom of speech. Absolutely. If he wants to talk about this game being a 10 out of 10 because it has a diverse character cast, go ahead. That's totally fine.
Listen to this week's episode of Aftermath Hours for a full rundown on why, but the whole thing is illustrative of a larger, more important issue. Thanks to algorithmic prioritization on sites like YouTube and Twitter, this is how a growing number of people engage with video games. Plenty of people still manage to tune out the
Plenty of normal people. This is the thing, is that a normal person would look at the dialogue from Tosh in Dragon Age. A Walmart American would look at it and be like, wow, that's really fucking weird. This entire idea that this is what normal people like this stuff and are okay with this stuff it's very clearly not true. And if anything, I think the recent election proves that. These are people that are masquerading as the majority, but in fact, they are a vast minority. They're a very small minority of people.
Long rants and conspiracy theories, but at what point does this rancid flavor of brain rot go from vocal niche to a borderline mainstream position? And what are the long-term consequences of that? I guess my doomer-pilled concern about all of this is that as the American Fascist Project continues to grow in power and all of these platforms facilitate...
This is way too much, man. Way too much. The American Fascist Project. What are we talking about? Why are we... What is this? We're talking about people that don't like a video game. They don't like a video game because they don't like the ideology of the people that made the game or something. Like, what are we talking about? Like, American Fascist... Like, this is... What the fuck is this? Dude got lost in the sauce? Yeah.
These ways of talking, conspiratorial thinking and whatnot, do we reach a point where this becomes the default? Because I would say right now...
We do if most people agree with it, yeah.
Now, this is not the way most normal people talk about games or engage with them. A lot of people, as we've seen based on Dragon Age's Steam numbers right now, saw the game, thought it looked cool, bought it, and are now playing it. If you look at Asmongold's most viewed...
Remember, see that Google Trends going up? Everybody talking about me, everybody thinking about me. They're writing articles about me, having conversations about something that I said. That's just, wow. Wow, what a day. What a day, bro. That's crazy. Wow.
Video on all of this, it has around 1 million views. 1 million sounds
no,
like
it has more than that. It has more than 1 million. Yeah, it's got way more than 1 million. It's got like 1 point, like probably almost 2 million now. Yeah, what the fuck is he talking about?
a lot, but this game will probably be bought by north of 10 million people, so it's a fraction.
10%'s a really big amount of people.
Even then, a lot of people who watched that video were probably never going to buy the game anyway. So it's not negligible. Exactly, but it's still a niche. But as these things...
I want to say that before I made a single video about Dragon Age the Veilguard, the trailer was very, ill-received by the fan base. Just by the nature of the trailer being released, you could logically come to the conclusion that nobody made a negative video about the Dragon Guard trailer, or sorry, the Dragon Age trailer, until after the trailer came out, logically, right? So if you look at the trailer, and you look at the feedback that individuals are giving to the trailer, it's all negative. So this idea that, which came first, the chicken or the egg, it's all of the eggs. Not me, the chicken. I come from those people building up my viewpoint because they agree with it. The problem is everyone's pandering these freaks and it's ruining games. Well, it's not happening anymore. That's the problem. That's why they're mad. The leak was worse. Yeah. So...
continue to have relatively convenient on-ramps, like searching Dragon Age on YouTube and getting pulled down this rabbit hole.
So you shouldn't be able to... So what's the logic here? That if you search Dragon Age, you shouldn't have a video that pops up that's critical of Dragon Age? And also, what is this pulled down this rabbit hole? What's this infantilization of grown adults that are making decisions for themselves? If somebody gets radicalized by looking at content on the internet, it's because they choose to look at that content and they agree with it. Why are we looking at these people like they're children that we have to decide what their algorithm shows them? This is insane. So why are you worried about this?
We reach a point where this is the prominent mode of discussion around games. Inmates taking over the asylum or whatever. Is that where we're headed? Because we've seen this in America.
Yeah, that is where we're headed. That's why people are making the videos.
American politics.
Because we've been there.
The more you enable these people structurally or systematically, the more footing they gain until they become the default.
This doesn't even make sense. If there were a lot of YouTube videos that were trying to incentivize you into eating shit, that wouldn't make eating shit more popular than eating steak. The entire logic that the algorithm controls what people's viewpoints are is totally insane. Everybody knows who Jack Doherty is, and everybody thinks he's an idiot. Everybody knows who, like, I'm trying to think, like, who another example is. Everybody knows who a lot of these people are, and they think that they're idiots. People draw their own conclusions, and they choose to believe what they want out of things because they're shown evidence or things that they agree with that make them come to those conclusions. The Hawk Tuah girl, yeah. Everybody is going to draw their own conclusions. This idea that showing people this content is somehow like some mind control device where the moment somebody sees something like this, they're like, oh my God, I hate women. I hate them now. That doesn't happen. That's not real. So when you're talking about and like lamenting the fact that you aren't able to censor different opinions off the internet that you're disagreeing with, and then you're worried that this is going to cause them to become the mainstream, why are you worried that this is going to cause them to become the mainstream? If they're bad opinions, then people won't have them. It's that simple. There's been a lot of opinions over the years that people have had that were very popular, and then over time, people have moved away from those opinions because they feel like they're bad opinions. It happens all the time. But the reason why they need this is because the ideas that they're trying to put out there can only exist whenever they're protected. They're like an endangered species. Like, you can't have these, you know, these opinions out in the wild. They need to be protected in their own reservation and, you know, not have any other predators attack them. Well, that isn't the free marketplace of ideas. That's censorship.
This one is not drinking the Kool-Aid. They drank the entire cooler. I need to stop you right there. One of the things that I frequently see is journalists or those whose content isn't that popular online criticize the algorithm. They believe,
and I think that's also another big factor, is that journalists feel like a lot of content creators and like YouTube people are encroaching in their space. And because of that, it makes them nervous. Like, they see somebody like me or like Legendary Drops or somebody else, and like this person's getting a lot of viewership, getting a lot of attention, and this is a direct competition to them.
It is a system that is promoting these opinions that they disagree with and ultimately are suppressing their own. That system is an issue, and it's only fascist because it's not promoting their ideas or their opinions. Yeah. YouTube and content creators in general are supported by their audience, not the algorithm. The algorithm simply feeds you things you might be interested in, and it's up to you to engage with it. If my content, or Asmongold's for that matter, wasn't supported by an audience who resonates with our opinions or our discussions, then it wouldn't be seen. If it wasn't the most popular...
Yeah, like, and I have videos, you guys know this, I have videos that are very badly received. I have it happen kind of regularly, where like I will have a take about something or an opinion about something, and that opinion will be not received very well. People will not agree with me. So like this whole logic that, oh, well, if people see the video, they're going to agree with it. That's not true.
Popular opinion that was held, then it wouldn't swallow the opposing opinion in the algorithm, and those videos would be served above ours. Content creators and YouTube don't create a bias, they confirm it. Going on to talk about identity.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. So perfect. People go on YouTube to find videos that tell them what they already think.
Politics in games and saying that it's not the normal way people talk about games. Well, bud, we're not getting normal games. We're getting divisive games firmly cemented in social and identity.
Well, and it's also like, who says that you can't talk about games in an abnormal way? Who decides who's able to talk about video games in certain ways? Why are you making the rules for who can talk about a video game? It's like such a crazy thing to even say.
Politics, and you can't be surprised when those games find themselves in the middle of social political discourse. No. It's the very reason that you put something like that into a game in the first place. By its very nature, it is subversive. When they say the more you enable these people structurally or systematically, the more footing they gain by a default. Again, the lack of self-awareness when you're saying that your subversive messaging is more important.
What do you mean, these people?
Than these people. Referencing those who they disagree with. What this actually reads as, we shouldn't platform these people because I disagree with them and my beliefs and opinions are the right ones.
Yeah.
You know, from my
That's exactly right. Is that these people are completely convinced that their viewpoint on the world is so accurate and so true that they are unwilling to even consider the possibility that other people could have another viewpoint to it.
Perspective, all this is the high school nerd that's jealous of the high school quarterback and them being more popular than them. If it was only the other way
we're the cool guys
around, everybody would totally respect me, but they just don't understand. This is literally just nothing but bitterness over the fact that people are going elsewhere for their opinions, because it's not traditional media anymore. That's not what people are interested in. Instead, what they want to do is they want to look to people that they can relate to, people that they feel like their tastes and their opinions and their perspectives align with, because, well, they're more likely to steer them in the right direction. They don't feel like these people are compromised, and more times than not, they're not. They are literally just a guy like me with the microphone just saying what their opinions are and leaving that out.
Individual content creators can be compromised in the exact same way that journalists can be. And I don't think that you should draw a parallel where journalists are biased and content creators are not. Both groups of people are capable of biases and also objectivity. You need to look at things individually rather than paint with a broad brush.
Into the ether for other people to pick up. If they resonate with it, they do. If they don't, they don't. It's not that big of a deal. But, you know, if you go back and you look at any of the videos that I make on these kind of topics, for the most part, I do try to stick to just the merits of the game, because that's what I want to judge these games on. But the problem is, it's games media as well as these games developers that are forcing these themes and different things into their games that are meant for discussion, and that's why they're being discussed. It ends up...
Exactly. So somebody put a comment in chat. I'm gonna read this real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Why do people like Baldur's Gate 3 if it's woke, though? Wokeism isn't what makes the games bad itself. That's why I don't get the attacks on identity politics. No. This person's not going to get banned. Why would they get banned? Why the fuck are people getting mad when they see women, people of color, or trans people in a fucking game? If the game is shit, it's not because of that. Here's the reason why. It's because they view that the inclusion of that content, I don't think that that's what happens at all. People don't view Baldur's Gate 3 as being woke. What you need to understand is that, at least for a lot of people, including myself, the, I guess, like, you know, default definition of woke is not inclusion or representation or diversity. It's the way that it's portrayed and the fact that it's done in a cynical and patronizing or one-dimensional way. You can't have, basically having the, like, inclusion or diversity or anything like that. That's not the problem. The problem is the way that it's communicated. That's what people think is woke. That's the whole point. It's like political correctness. Yeah, exactly. That's the difference between something like Baldur's Gate 3 and Dragon Age.
Being a pain point as to why some of these players are not engaging with these games and not wanting to buy them. But the problem that we keep running into is that when we try to have this kind of conversation, well, they just want to cherry pick some of the most outrageous and inflammatory remarks that are out there and use that as a way to minimize any critical discourse around any of these games every single time.
That's completely right. And this is what a lot of people do, is they'll pick somebody out of a group of people that is the most extreme or the dumbest, and then they will use that person to paint the entire group as if they were all like that. It's like very, very traditional, simple tribalism. Baldur's Gate 3 is inclusion. Dragon Age is lecturing. There's such a huge difference. Yeah. Wokeism becomes activism. Yeah. I think that's definitely what happens. The patronizing nature of the message instead of having it be a natural story. Yeah.
Literally every single time. The American Fascist Project, and you're calling us the conspiratorial ones. Sorry that...
Yeah, sorry the election didn't go your way, buddy.
The system isn't working in your favor.
Yeah.
Maybe it will next time. The
Better luck
idea
next
that
time.
a video with 1 million views is somehow not reflective of how an audience received a game is just mind-blowing to me. Especially when you're
Yeah,
only
that's not reflective, but the article that has 2,000 views, that's what everybody really believes.
looking at one
sure.
video. If you go and you
Oh,
look
yeah.
at Dragon Age the Veilguard across all of YouTube, you could accumulate probably 100 million views if you wanted to, of people being critical about the game, and you
Yep.
somehow don't think that's reflective of how the audience received the game. What sense does that even make? To
Yeah.
even go as far and believe that you think the game sold 10 million or will sell 10 million copies? I can't even say it out loud. It's too funny.
I don't think it's going to sell 10 million. That's way too many.
Basing that off of?
Yeah.
The original estimates we're seeing right now are definitely not 10 million. You know, we could actually take this a step further. That video that they're referencing for Asmongold, I think it has like 1.5 million views or something.
Yeah, it's not 1 million. It's 1.5 million. Yeah, exactly. I know. It's so disgusting how they try to put me down like that. So fucked up.
Like that. That video has more views than the sales of Dragon Age the Veilguard, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, Concord, and Immortals of Avium combined.
How about that?
But you know, it's just the minority. A fraction.
Well, here's how you know that's stupid. Why would game companies pay streamers to play video games if streaming video games didn't have an impact on the video game? How about that? A little bit of logic, huh? Oh, wow.
The writer
wow.
continues the podcast transcript saying, I think an important thing to remember is we work in video games, and we work directly with people that know as much about video games as possible and as much about the video game media ecosystem as possible. The people that follow us on social media, all they do is talk about video games all day. Our peers and colleagues and former colleagues, that's all we talk about. As a sample of the video game playing public, we are a tiny fraction of people. All my IRL friends will talk to me about is a Call of Duty game once a year. Everyone I play football with will talk about EA Sports FC once or twice a year to complain about it. They don't play Dragon Age. They don't know what it is. They barely know what Fortnite is. It's the same for everything. It's
I feel like a lot of my friends, I don't know, like a lot of my friends probably do play games like that, but also like we grew up doing that a lot. But I do have a few friends that are like not really video game players. That's most people. Yeah.
music, it's movies. People don't consume media about these things constantly on a daily basis.
Sure.
It's easy for us to lose track of that because we think everybody does, but everybody around us does. But my experience with this stuff, because I make it my point to know as many people outside of games as possible to avoid a broken husk of a person, is that it's really important to get that perspective.
To avoid becoming a broken husk of a person? Okay. That's a lot.
It's fucking video games. No one cares. Play a game you like or don't. You don't need to go online and talk about it for 18 hours a day or whatever.
That's your
So people like
job.
Asmongold are out there making these videos.
Always about me. Everybody always thinking about me. The leader of Gamergate, the king of the incels, the CEO of racism, #1 woman hater, the fucking Lich King. I don't know what to say. I really don't. It's crazy. Crazy that this has happened. Did say some racist shit. Should have seen me before I streamed. Oh. Bro, is that my friend? You know, already? They decided they need to farm you? No, the thing is that I have no problem with people writing articles being critical of me, by the way. Like, I might disagree with them, but, and I do have a problem with people misrepresenting me. Of course I have a problem with that. But I'm not, it doesn't bother me at all. I completely respect their freedom of speech to criticize me and to bring up whatever concern that they have. That's totally fair.
videos. But like Nathan said, what's a video like that going to top out at? 1 million worldwide among English-speaking people? That's not shit. Nathan responds, right. There are well over 300 million people in the United States alone. Luke responds, right. And that doesn't include the English-speaking people in Europe or the rest of the Anglosphere. I don't think it's something to be worried about as a discourse-shaping trend. It's more of a bummer for that type of content on that type of medium.
It's not. If you look at the... Just go and look at the videos. Look at the videos on the official channel. Look at the Steam reviews. Like, at what point do you bury your head in the sand for so long that you are unwilling to look at anything that is contradictory to your viewpoint? Like, what this person's end game is. The person's end game is they want to see people like me silenced, and they don't want me to be able to make videos and express myself because they think that too many people are agreeing with me. That's literally the problem. They've literally stated the problem is that Asmongold is making videos. A lot of people are watching these videos, and they're worried that my opinion and my viewpoint is going to be the default. That's what they said. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to deplatform you? Of course they do. Of course. Like, if I were them, I would... Well, actually, I wouldn't do that. I would change my opinions to something that was more reasonable. However, I can see why they're trying to do it. You should get your videos dubbed in different languages to really piss them off. If somebody wants to do that, I know there's like Koreans and like Chinese that do that. I don't really... I don't know if I can like just legally say like, yeah, I'm totally okay with this, but in a general sense, yeah, I don't... Go ahead, right? I mean, I have to reserve some degree of like, control, maybe, right? But otherwise, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. You want to make money off me? Fine, go ahead. It's fine.
Going to go on its own journey, and during that time, people are going to be put off it. People might stop watching that kind of content and look somewhere else. They might look on TikTok or on blogs like the Aftermath site. It's not a given that every 13-year-old boy watching an Asmongold video is going to turn...
Do you honestly think that there are kids watching my fucking content where I'm constantly referencing the first generation of Pokemon? No. It's mainly guys that are older. What are you talking about? 0.5%. I call the bullshit on 4.6 women. Yeah, there ain't that many hoes here. Well, I guess now it'll probably be down to 4.5.
into someone who thinks like that. Most people are relatively normal, and there's a point where once people with a certain kind of hateful or twisted or conspiratorial view start to get oxygen and get enabled, their views become increasingly bizarre to a normal person. People aren't so easily brainwashed that they'll just go along with all that. Obviously,
well, then why are you worried about people seeing it and it being the default?
Political situation in the United States shows that lots of people can if they're subjected to it long and hard enough. But on a global basis, on a normal person basis, a lot of people will eventually be like, I think this guy's fucking weird. Who cares? It's Dragon Age. Or not everything has to be a conspiracy and a political gesture. I'm more
I agree. That's why people are mad at the game. So the fact is that a lot of people do think that. And I've been outspoken about that. Like, Nathan probably isn't looking at... I wonder if he'll watch this video or not. But I don't know if we put a video out about this because I don't really have any oversight on like my YouTube really, other than like, hey, I'm uploading a video. You can make it public whenever you feel like it's best. Other than that, I don't really have any oversight. We had a conversation maybe for like 45 minutes about that game South of Midnight or whatever, Southern of Midnight. And I was relatively positive about the game where my chat was very negative about it. I don't do that. There are a lot of games that I don't say are DEI games. This is your shadow boxing. I didn't do this. I never said this. Yeah, like, your chat's fucking retarded. there's going to be people that disagree with me in my chat. Wow, what a fucking surprise. Just disagree in a way that's respectful and you won't get banned. Oh my God.
Optimistic than other people are with this stuff, but it's more of a YouTube problem than a societal problem. They need to sort that out. Nathan responds, true, but in addition, it's a Twitter problem.
I think that, like, what is the logic here? So you're saying, obviously, the political situation in the United States shows a lot of people can, but normal people can't. So let me get this straight. Winning the popular vote in the country in the national election, just by the definition of what normal is a norm. Normal is the top of the bell curve. What are we talking about? Normal people are the reason why Trump did win. That's the whole reason. It's crazy how, like, this doublespeak, it's insane. It shows that he's upset. He won't accept that fact. Yeah, everybody that disagrees with you isn't abnormal.
It's a Facebook problem. With Asmongold, it's a Twitch problem. It is, to some extent,
it's with Asmongold that it's a Twitch problem, and to some extent it's a TikTok problem. It's a problem when people have opinions that I disagree with.
TikTok problem.
Yes.
My God.
It's a big problem.
Nothing says I'm right like the call for censorship.
That's right.
Believing that these platforms need to handle commentary people like Asmongold, myself, or anyone else. It is disgusting to hear someone want to put the control of freedom of speech into the hands of publicly traded platforms. They have more power than they already need, and you would blindly trust them as long as they are propagating the opinions and messages that you feel comfortable with.
That's exactly true. And so what I find to be really funny is that I don't know all of Nathan's opinions about everything, but he seems like the kind of guy that definitely criticizes a lot of corporate stuff. And like, I followed them over the years. I've seen him make comments about it. Why would you want to give this company that you think is a faceless, soulless aberration that is a parasite on society, why would you want to give it censorial control over what people can talk about? Why would you want that?
And this is all based on the fact that they are conflating criticism with hate or conspiracy. The meme that everything is fascist as long as it doesn't agree with me is strong with this one.
Of course.
I am sick and tired of this notion that there is a silent majority that is not talking about or doesn't care about these topics, and they're not engaging with these sort of conversations.
I think the silent majority argument kind of died when Trump won the popular vote. I think that the reason the actual silent majority are the people that don't speak out against it because they're afraid of being hated or canceled or getting attacked. The people that are the real silent majority are the ones that are too afraid to speak, because these people have created a culture and an ecosystem where you need to be afraid if you have an opinion.
Somehow need to be the person that's talking about these things 18 hours a day to actually care about them. It's nothing more than convenient platitudes, painting a picture that specific voices and concerns don't matter, or that the general public doesn't care about forced messaging or the quality of their products. From my perspective, when people use the term silent majority, it's meant to make you feel like you have no real control, and what you want has no real impact.
Yeah.
Which couldn't be further from the truth. Oh God, it's so vain. It's so unbelievably vain. Believing that these games journalists, as well as games insiders, need to be the ones that are shaping the conversation around games, that these uninformed voices, these peasants more than anything else, get off of me. Don't try to clean my shoe. Yeah, God, no. They're the ones, ironically, that are actually interfacing with this media. They're the ones that are interfacing with these products. These games are made for them in the first place.
I also really dislike how a lot of people in media try to present themselves as being like the anointed few, or being, actually the anointed is not the word, enlightened is the word. Where they consider themselves to be the enlightened ones, and they're doing us all a favor by, giving us this, imparting this divine knowledge onto us, the chosen ones. Yeah, that's not true. Like, I I mean, I think that I have some pretty good insight into things, and that's why I hope people watch the videos, but otherwise, it's not really that big of a deal.
And that's the problem. It's the fact that you believe that you need to be the ones that are shaping the conversation around games. You believe that your ideas, your opinions are more valuable than anyone else's, to the point that you're even calling for censorship. Pathetic is what that is. Pathetic behavior.
Well,
And
they're
let's be-
calling for censorship because their ideas can't exist in a free marketplace of ideas. That's the reason why. And that's why in the entire article that's discussing what I said about Dragon Age, at no point or another do they take an excerpt out of what I said in the video and then try to respond to that or, provide any rebuttal or, contradictory comment.
Be real. I know that the vast majority of these companies don't give a shit about any of these social issues. And likely these people don't even care about it either.
Yeah.
It's vanity more than it is anything else.
I think today proved that, right? I mean, more than anything. I mean, look at how many people, like, we're saying, oh, Twitter is losing all of this money, Twitter's dead, and now all the advertisers are coming back to Twitter. That's because these companies don't actually care about any of these social issues. They'll put their ads next to swastikas if they're getting paid enough money for it. That's always been what happens. And they are. It's been confirmed by like 50 different sources that places like Disney, Comcast, and Walmart are coming back and advertising on Twitter again. It's called pandering. Yeah, exactly. Warner Brothers. Yep. Lionsgate Studios. It's another one. Yep, absolutely. And all these places that like people were using as like a benchmark of moralism, now they're gone.
Soft people living soft lives and looking for anything to be able to attach themselves to so they can look in the mirror and think that they've done something constructive today. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
Everybody. Absolutely.
You know what they fail to realize is that people don't watch these videos because they want to be told what to think. They're watching them because they have their own opinions, their own thoughts, and they're looking to have
they want to be told what they already think is right.
Either validated or challenged in a meaningful way. A video like this goes out and it resonates with some people and they like it. And if they like it, then it gets viewed and then more people view it and then the cycle
It's not my copyright. It's Trump's copyright. I just took it from him. So it's okay.
Continues. What you fail to realize is that the content is serving the audience. The content creators are serving the audience. The platform is serving the audience, not the other way around.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why people have gotten so disillusioned with the video game industry, with games media, with different video games that have come out over the last few years, or with the government, or with regular legacy media, or anything like that. It's because they forgot how that dynamic works. The audience, the customer, always comes first. And the minute that you stand up...
That's the problem, is that these people have made an enemy out of their end user. Any company and any platform that makes an enemy out of their end user won't exist for a long time.
And start to say that voices need to be controlled because you're afraid of what the outcome might be, because you disagree with those positions, because you think that you are the moral authority. That's a problem. And it's no wonder that nobody pays attention to you. This video will likely get more views than your podcast. I hope you guys...
Wow, it's going to get 1,000 views?
Guys enjoyed today's discussion. If you guys did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and more importantly, I'm going to go and I'm going to play some Stalker. Actually, I'm getting ready for the Stalker 2
I
launch.
saw that
I'm so
game's too.
excited
Yeah,
for that.
second
It's
game's
not
coming
even
out
funny.
soon.
But anyway, I'll check you guys later. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Dude, I cannot fucking believe that people are writing articles about me and doing this shit. It is fucking nuts. Yeah, 1,000, that's huge. Yeah, there's the video right there. Make sure to give it a like. I agree with pretty much everything he says here in this video. I do. There's actually one single based NPC in Dragon Age who acted like a grown-up person. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but maybe I haven't encountered them yet. But yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot of games, and like I personally have really enjoyed playing more single-player games and seeing the experience of them. I think I might play Dragon Age Inquisition because I saw some of the cinematics and it looked like the game had like a certain edge to it that I would kind of be interested in playing. I don't know if it's really something I would play on stream. I think it's probably something I might do like the first day on stream, like I did with Metaphor, and then after that play it off stream. But I did really enjoy it a lot. Did you ever think you'd be this famous or infamous when you started your channel all those years ago? So this is, I mean, it's weird to think of, but every time that my channel is done really well, it's kind of like shocking in a way. But at the same time, I also tell myself, like, this is going to sound like so bad, right? Cocky. Yeah, it is. That like, oh yeah, finally people are realizing how great I am. Oh yeah, now everybody's realizing how good I've actually always been this entire time, and they're finally getting it. And so yeah, that's also where I'm at too. Ego time, absolutely ego time. And so I have no problem with that kind of stuff, and videos always good. Yeah, no doubt. And it's the beard. Yeah, I've been noticed. Well, I think that a lot of people are looking for like my, and like that's why I said before, like I had kind of apologized for like my content becoming bad. Like let's just say it's just become bad. And so like, for example, I'm thinking on Sunday we're going to do ban appeals. I think we're going to do it again because we haven't done anything like that for a while. And I promised you guys I was going to do new content and do new stuff and make things a little bit more fun. And I'm thinking on Sunday we're going to do that. That's what my plan is on the Lord's Day. Yeah, and post-election ban appeals. People are looking for authenticity. Well, I mean, after you can't look for authenticity in a content creator because you don't know me off stream. But just look for something that you agree with and that you find is entertaining. And that's what really matters the most, right? So yeah,